Hey you guys, I wanted to make a video about promiscuity, and I think that anyone who is in a promiscuity sexual exploration phase has to go through that. However, I wouldn't want to date a man going through that, and I wouldn't want one of my sons to date a woman going through that. But if it's in the past, who cares? In fact, there are couples in relationships who've never even asked each other how many sexual partners the other person had. Because does it really matter? What matters is who they are now. What matters is who they are now. Is this person honest? Are they sober? Are they intentional? Are they committed to you? Do they value relationships? Are they financially responsible? Can you count on them? Are they kind to you? Do they contribute to your life? Do you trust them? Do you feel safe with them? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel nurtured? Is the relationship adding to your life? Do you enjoy your sex life together? These are all good things to look for. So the question of promiscuity comes up, and I think what people really mean with the promiscuity is they don't want to be with the woman who lies. And it's not the promiscuity per se, because sometimes there are reasons people have a lot of sexual partners. Maybe they were a sex worker. Maybe they grew up in a repressive home and they were told they could never have sex and they wanted to explore. Maybe they live in a tantra community and they're being polyamorous. Maybe they were an alcoholic or a meth addict and it was part of their addiction. They had a lot of partners and now they're sober. Maybe this woman started with sex and she trusted men and she's very trusting, and women generally have sex with men that they would date, and she had sex with this guy and he just blew her off, broke her heart. But she tried again. It took her a while to realize that men can do this. See, I didn't realize this until my 50s, like a year ago, that men can do this. I kept thinking they're like us. I couldn't understand why they were blowing me off. So there can be a number of reasons, but again, what difference does it make? Now, I personally don't like to be around women or men who are loose with their sexuality. When men do it, they're hurting women, because women usually want sex in a relationship. So why is this guy fucking around? Let's talk about promiscuous men first. A man who can get women for sex could get them for a relationship, because women will generally just have sex with the man they would date. So why aren't you in a relationship? Like, what's your problem? If you're still fucking around after your mid-20s, what's your problem? Like, what's wrong with you? Pretty much. Because you're just taking advantage of women and using them. I know the women agreed to it, but a healthy man is going to choose sex in a relationship. I'll tell you why. Because he knows he doesn't like to hurt women, and he realizes women are hurt by being fucked and left. That's a fact. They don't like it. And single men have less sex than men in relationships. So he's smart. He knows he's going to have more sex in a relationship and better sex. Because, like I talked about in my other video, the most turned on a woman is going to be is in a new relationship, because of how she feels about you and all the emotional investment you've made in her. A man just spinning plates can never experience that. And I don't trust players. I personally am not into players. So to me, that would be a turnoff. So, but I wouldn't say, oh, I'm not going to date you because you slept with a lot of women. I would expect this man to say, you know what, when I was in my early 20s, I slept with a lot of women. It really didn't fulfill me. I know that they got attached to me and I didn't want to hurt them, and it wasn't fulfilling for me. So I don't sleep around. I look for women to be in a relationship with. That's a high quality man. That's the kind of guy I like. Like, he fucked around. He figured out it didn't work for him. And now he chose me. Okay? But if you're still fucking around, I'm not interested. Now let's go to the lady's side. If she's still fucking around, don't get near her. But maybe she was fucking around and she's like, that hurt my feelings. I was having sex with men that I liked. I thought they would become my boyfriend, but they blew me off and it really hurt my feelings. And that's not for me. I don't like it. I don't like this casual sex thing. I would rather have sex in a relationship. That's how I feel myself. And that's how a woman would feel. So why do you care who she had sex with in the past? Why would it matter? Now, here again, I think that people who are just hooking up at random without condoms, or if they're drunk, or because they're insecure, they need validation, they need approval, they're constantly thirst trapping, and they're cheating. They're having sex because when they're in a relationship, or they're having sex with someone else in a relationship. These are all very low quality behaviors that show this person has no regard for relationships, their own or other people's, no regard for sobriety, for honesty. You can't trust people like that. So I wouldn't date anyone like that. I wouldn't date anyone like that. I hope that answers your question, because someone was asking me, well, Shahzad, you have a high number of sexual partners, but you consider yourself to be, you were monogamous for 25 years. So how does this jive with the whole mental health? And there are people with mental health issues who use sex as a way to bypass their inner pain, to deal with their uncomfortable emotions, to deal with their boredom or their loneliness, or to get validation, or to trap someone into a relationship. I think that what I would look for also is that this person I'm dating isn't trying to constantly get validation from the opposite sex, man or woman. The promiscuity is equally important on both sides. To date someone worthy of dating, in my opinion, is not constantly seeking emotional validation from the opposite sex. Texting other people, like the guys texting women and trying to get, or the women texting men, or thirst trapping on Instagram and look at me, and texting with guys. Like, there's no reason to be texting a bunch of guys. Like, why are you talking to other guys and flirting with other guys or other women? Like, if you need to do that, I don't think you're ready to be in a relationship. We all want attention. Like right now, I'm getting attention. I'm getting attention making this video. Fine. Some people get attention playing instruments, or teaching a class, or building your house, or, modeling clothes. Like, there are many ways to get attention that are healthy. But I think that using our sexuality to get attention, I think is not healthy. So me personally, after my divorce, when I went through this hookup phase, I never sent sexy pictures to guys, ever. You have to respect me first before I will even get with you. They had to be sober. I met them for coffee to try to get to know them. I met them on online dating apps. I want to know, you have a job I respect. I wanted to look for guys that had like outdoor photos, a job I respected. If they had photos of themselves drinking, out. I was looking for emotional, sensual experiences that I didn't have in my marriage. When I was younger, I was not. When I met my husband in college, I think I had been. I wasn't sleeping around at that time. Then we kind of parted ways. By the time we reconnected years later, I had been celibate for several years. I had been celibate for several years when I reconnected with the man I would later marry. I was not sleeping around. I'm the typical woman. Like, why would I want to sleep with some random guy? Like, what would that do for me? Nothing. Again, why does it matter what I did in the past? I didn't like it. That's all that matters. But if a woman likes it, I don't think she's good for dating. But I think that things to look for are women who are constantly on their Instagram, taking pictures of themselves, constantly on their phone, admiring celebrities, you know, um, women who are dishonest. Um, I don't know. I hope this video was helpful to you. I just think that people have to be very intentional with their sexuality if they want to. I just think it's a sign of self-respect. Like, there's so many ways that we respect ourselves. Um, that's just my own personal value. You can disagree. There are people in tantra communities that are or in polyamorous relationships, but they're vetting each person for a relationship. They're not sleeping around. The only people I know who sleep around are swingers. And even they're pretty choosy. I don't know anybody who sleeps around. Like, why would you do that? But I have known people who slept around in the past and decided it wasn't for them. I've met them in 12-step meetings. They'd be like, oh yeah, I was an alcoholic. I was a meth addict and I slept around and now I'm celibate, you know. And that's what the sponsors teach them, is to go without a relationship. Now I'm not in a relationship. They're like, I'm not in a relationship. I don't have sexual partners. And then you have the people that were sexually abused that see their only value as sexuality. So I think I would stay away from people who are always starting with sex because they feel that's their only value and they probably wouldn't make good relationship partners. But yeah, like the way I feel about my sexuality, even that's why I don't go to nude beaches, because I'm like, I don't want to show my nude body to just any guy. Like, you haven't deserved that. You haven't given me anything. So I'm very particular, and I think I'm the typical woman. So if there's a woman who's just walking around nude everywhere and just fucking everyone, I don't think I wouldn't want to date someone like that. Like, or a guy like that either, frankly. I hope I answered the question. But again, if this woman is solid and on point, why are you even asking her how many sexual partners she had? Like, why are you even asking the question? Because it tells you something about her that you can't figure out by just being around her. Like, it's supposed to be some foolproof thing to guarantee a happy marriage or something. Someone made that up, frankly. But the promiscuity thing, is this person sleeping around a lot? I think that tells you a lot. And especially if you see someone who's been doing it for years, because people who sleep around, a normal, healthy person is going to figure out within a couple years that it's not fulfilling. And while a woman may have sex because she likes this guy and she thinks it's the start of a relationship, her numbers can go up and she can get sex easily and she may think they're starting a relationship. But why is the guy just fucking around? Why is he not as discriminate as she is? Because the woman is very discriminate. Women don't have sex with just anyone. They have to like the guy. But a guy doesn't have to like the girl at all. He's just using her to get his dick wet. So I disrespect the men who sleep around more than the women who sleep around, because the women are usually looking for love. They're having sex because they're looking for love or an emotional feeling, usually. Not in my case. I was trying to explore my sexuality, but usually they're looking for love. And the men are just trying to use women to get their dick wet. So the men with the high body count, if we were to disrespect anyone, would be the guys. Because, like, why aren't you in a relationship? You can get one. You're the gatekeeper of the relationship. Why aren't you in one? Why are you spinning plates? Like, that's what I put in the bad man category. And uh, men that have their heart engaged, they're actually kind, they don't want to do that. Actually, they don't sleep around. It's the men who saw their dad be a player, or the men who are emotionally cut off, or they're entitled, grandiose. They will use women in that way with no regard whatsoever. They will just use women. Or they will have affairs. When they're married, they will have affairs. So I don't think that the promiscuity thing is any better for men than it is for women. I think it's worse on the men, because the women do it out of love. At least they have their heart in the right place. Unless they're reenacting their trauma, like the women in porn who are reenacting their trauma, having very violent sex, or sex when they're drunk, or leading with sex, using sex to get a man. They're not looking for love. They're just leading with sex. It's very different, because they don't feel worth anything, because they were sexually abused. But once they get therapy, I think they can heal. This is just my long video on promiscuity. I am opposed to promiscuity. I don't find it. My ex-husband and I briefly went to some swinger things for 3 months, and we both decided to quit. Like, it wasn't fun, just fucking random people. Like, neither one of us liked being on those sites. You know, you gotta post pictures of yourself and try to get yourself turned on, then go to the sex parties, and everybody's drinking, and neither one of us liked it. Like, I'm not a swinger, he wasn't a swinger. So after 3 months, he goes, honey, you know what? I don't really want to do this anymore. And I said, I don't either. Like, I'm just not a promiscuous person. But I have, when I'm single, been sexually active with other men, especially in my past profession as a bookkeeper. And in that instance, I feel like it's a fair exchange, actually. When they're giving me, $500 for an hour, and it's a lot of kissing, a lot of tenderness, a lot of touching, a lot of very sweet to me, bringing me flowers and wine. Those guys are nicer to me than any of those losers that email me and tell me I'm beautiful, who give me nothing. Or the men who want to ask me on dates and don't even show up. Or the men who refuse to ask me on dates. At least these guys are giving me appreciation. They're giving me contribution. You guys have no idea how great it was. No idea. And so, yeah, ideally, I would be in a relationship now. Ideally, I would be in a relationship now, having sex with one guy. But the problem is, there are no guys. Worthy. I don't see any guys. I don't see guys asking me out. I don't see fit men my age that are interesting and attractive that I want to be with. I haven't met anyone better than my ex-husband in 10 years, because the good guys stay married. So this is just the reality that I'm in. So, I'm just sharing how my life is. Now, if you are a man getting divorced in your 50s, you have a lot of options, because there are not that many high-quality men on the market after the age of 40. They're all married. These relationship-oriented men who are sensual in bed and who are good relationship quality, they usually get married in their early 30s, by their early 30s, and they're not available for dating. And I don't date men in relationships. So the only time one of these men comes on the market is if the wife dies. But again, sometimes not. There are a lot of bad husbands too, and the wife didn't leave. So just because he's a widower doesn't mean he's a good guy. They have problems too. But he can also come on the market because he and the wife just decided that we just don't get along anymore. We've outlived our time together. But these guys don't come on the market very often, and I don't need a relationship. I would want one. So my situation is a little bit different, and I've made you know, the best of it. I made the best of it that I could. Now I have a Just for Fans page that does pretty well. Uh, you know, and we all have to support ourselves somehow. So that's how I do it. And again, the men on my page are very respectful to me. They don't even send me dick pics. They ask for permission. Is it okay if I send you a picture for something lower down? You're like, they're so sweet. Men are always so respectful to me. Except for sometimes in the comments, and I gotta block people. There are some guys in the comments that are very angry and they're projecting their shadow onto me the same way I projected my shadow onto my friend earlier, and I made a video about it. Shadow work. Like, but anyway, I digress. This is my video on promiscuity. I hope that you liked it. Please leave your comments on promiscuity. All of your different opinions are welcome, and I think it's good to have diverse opinions. And thank you for watching my video.